Good morning, guys. Thanks for coming by the old base camp. I guess this is a base camp, a second base camp. Coffee break. How's everything in your world? Yeah, the cat lost one of its lives. Well, it actually went through 9 lives. The cat did. It went through 9 lives, and then yeah, it ran out of lives, and I got the cat. Okay. Let me show you the cat. Got a lot going on today, guys. Man, been gonna be busy today. Let's see. Let's show you the cat. Alrighty. Let's show you a before. All right. Here is a before. All right. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it or not. Can you see it there? Let me get it lit up here. I hope you can see that cat. Boy, it's a biggin. It is a biggin. Guys, that cat is 26 pounds. Okay? Now, no, I don't know how to read cats on the hoof, you know. Live bobcats on the hoof, but here is a deceased cat. Yeah, there is a deceased cat. Yeah, it went through my snare 9 times, and I got it on the 10th time. Trying to get the coyotes, I took down the power ram. The coyotes were coming through, and I put the power ram up, and they said, "Oh, no, Steve-O, you're trying to trick us. You're trying to trick us, and we see what you're up to." I think they smelled it a little bit. So anyway, I've taken the power ram down. I've set the trigger so it can't accidentally fire, and I set it off to the side out of the trail. Then I went into the shop and I made up a my own homemade snare. And what I do there with 16th cable. This power ram, by the way, has 3 64ths cable in it, and it's a 1x19 wire cable in there. It's a stiffer cable. They recommend for that power ram. So it's actually a little bit smaller than my other wire I use, cable. So I buy the 16th cable, a 7x7 cable, stainless steel from either F&T Trapline or the Snare Shop. Either one of those outfits. I bought the power ram from the Snare Shop. I think they're out of Iowa. Anyway, so I went in the shop, and to make my own snares, I go to Lowe's and I'll buy the quarter inch flat washers, galvanized. So the galvanized are a little bit thicker than other washers. And then I set it on the anvil, and I take a punch, and I put 2 little dots, one across from the other, and then I lock it in a vise, and I take an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I drill through, okay? And then there's a little burr that pops out, so I just carefully, what I do is I carefully file off the burrs on them things, and then I use cable. And what I do, the 16th cable, and what I'll do is slip the cable through on the inside, and then I bend it. I bend the thing in 90 degrees after I drill it. I bend the washer 90 degrees. So on the inside, I pass the cable through one of those holes, and I'll put a ferrule on there. I don't bend the cable over like a lot of trappers do. They'll bend that over. I don't do that. And also, I leave just a little bit, maybe an 1/8 of an inch cable sticking out past that ferrule. So it's got little wiry hooks on it, right? Well, those little wiry hooks I've discovered over years of fooling around, that's actually a hair grabber. That thing will grab hair. So what I do is put that through. I don't bend the cable over. I just smash it flat. And then I take a length, I take my tape measure, I measure out an 8-inch hoop for cats. For bobcats, you want an 8-inch loop, and you want the bottom of the loop 8 inches off the ground. Okay? So that's how you rig that up. And then I put a ferrule on the other end, and I make a little loop. Then for a support wire, I just take I buy a roll, 14 gauge roll of wire down there at Lowe's, over where they have the rebar and stuff. And I put 3 strands of it. I'll pull out like, I don't know, 15 foot. And I'll lock 3 of those wires into my vise. And then I'll pull out 15 foot of wire, basically. And I usually take a terry towel or something and I wipe that. This is covered with machine oil, that stuff, right? So I'll wipe it down, and then I'll pull it tight, and then I snip it off even. I stick it in my DeWalt cordless, and I spin that wire up, all 3 of those strands up, and it makes a nice tight little bundle in there. And then you just clip off what you need there. I'll take that whole thing and I'll coil it, and I put it in a bucket of hot water with Dawn, and I try and wash it, and it strips all that oil off of there. Then you can take it out, leave it coiled, and stick it on the fence, and in a few days it rusts. You get a nice brown coat of rust on there. That's perfect. And I've used those, like for hogs, I've used those over and over out in the field. I've had some of those out there 3 years. I use the same standoff for the hogs out there, and it works great. But yeah, and then once you make a catch with this, I make a loop. The cable will go, the twisted wire will go through that loop on that snare that I've created, and then I bend it over and I just twist it up. Then I take another piece. Now it's all floppy because I've got those 2 connections, or eyelet on eyelet, right? Or loop on loop. So it's all floppy. Well, I don't need that. I need it stiff. So I'll take another length of 14 gauge wire, take another length of 14 gauge wire, and what I do there is pinch it. I'll create my 8-inch loop, and just by the lock on the inside, I'll bend that and I'll pinch it. I'll bend it and pinch it, and then I take that and I'll pull it tight, and I'll take that 14 gauge wire and just start wrapping it around and around and around back toward the 2 loop connections, I'll run around back toward that all the way down until it's nice. It's a nice stiff deal, you know, so it's nice and stiff in there. So that's what I do on that. So yeah, it works freaking great. And I put that in that trail, and like I said, I saw the bobcat come through once, and I said, yeah, let me give this a try. So the coyote, I took the ram out, set it aside, and let it weather out there, and put this in. So yeah, I got the cat. And my buddy, when I was running that video here a while back, my buddy John, he's a hunter, and he says, Steve, I need a coyote and I need a bobcat for my man cave. And he said, my wife told me if I put one more critter in my man cave, she's divorcing me. And he says, so maybe, hopefully, if you get me the bobcat and a coyote, that'll push her over the edge. I said, well, bro, I'm just, you know, like to help my friends out, you know. And if I can help you out with that, you know, oh well, you know, I'm here for you, you know. I think he's kidding. Anyway. So anyway, I called him. I sent him a photo of that cat, and he was just ecstatic. He said, "Oh my God!" So I told him, I said, "This thing is big, man. I've seen some bobcats." I said, "This thing is big, and I would love to know how much it weighs. So when you come and get it, yeah." I went out. I woke up. And I just had a gut feeling. I said, I got something in that snare. I get these gut feelings, you know. And sure enough, I went out, put on my bathrobe, and went on out there. in a little flip-flops. It went out there, and here's this cat hanging. It went, actually, I had it on the camera too, the trail cam. That thing went ballistic when it got hung up in that snare guide. It went ballistic, and it went around and around. There was a 2-inch oak there. It went around and around, and it kept getting higher, and then it flipped itself over the cable, and its feet were hanging. It was hanging, dangling with his feet just touched bottom, lower feet just, and that cat was tall. I mean, that thing was big. And I picked that cat up, and guys, he didn't last long in that snare, of course, because I had the video camera running on him. He choked out, I mean, quick, guys. I mean, quick. That 16th cable zipped up perfect around it. It was a neck catch. Now, if it was a body catch, he would have been in there tearing the freaking woods down, but he didn't. He was perfect neck catch on him. So his taxidermist will be very, very happy with that deal. No bullet holes. So, yeah, that's the kitty story. Here, kitty. So we got one of those fawn eaters out of there. I haven't seen a fawn, guys, in 3 years. Between the coyotes and the bobcats, they're just slaughtering my little fawns. It's got plenty of large deer. But that cat, guys, was big enough to crawl up in a tree over a deer trail, and when that deer walked under, he can jump right on their back and bite him in the back of the freaking neck and kill him. Very powerful animals. Very powerful. But anyway, there's probably half a dozen more out there. I'm going to keep the camera running. The only thing I had last night on the camera was a possum, big old possum. I caught one yesterday, and it took a ride right down here where I'm sitting. I've turned loose about 15 right here in this place here. Never can have enough possums, you know. Never can have enough possums. I don't know where my coons went. Luckily, they've gone bye-bye for a while. I don't need any more. I can't sell them this time of year because this is breeding season, and the blacks, they don't want them during the night, you know, and I don't blame them. You don't need to be taking out your seed stock for, you know. So around September, the traps start up again, and we start selling meat animals. Did pretty good this year. I don't know. I probably sold $500 worth of those things at $10 a pop. And then again, that's probably the cheapest in the USA too, by the way. How come everybody gets good deals with Steve-O anyway? Man, I keep divvying out the good deals, you know. Oh well, somebody's got to do it, right? Speaking of good deals, I took Miss Daisy to breakfast this morning. First thing we woke up at 6, and I said, "You want to go for breakfast?" She said, "Heck yeah, let's do it." And she said, "Let's go to Hillbillies," a place we call Hillbillies, and a bunch of redneck old women in there and stuff. Nice people, though. Nice people. And we sitting there, guys, and 2 walruses. I mean, walruses. At what point, guys, do you say, you look in the mirror and you go, I think I'm out of control. I think I'm out of control. You know, they've got TV going, and there's this reality shows. My 1,000-pound sister, 1,000-pound friend, or something. At what point, guys, do you say, "Oh, I think I'm out of control. I think I need help. I think I need to go get, you know, maybe on a Steve-O carnivore diet"? Yeah. Do I really need to be going on a carnivore diet instead of an apple pie diet? Guys, it's absolutely crazy. These people, these 2 guys, they came in separately, and I said, I told Miss Daisy, I was turned this way, I couldn't see what they were eating. I told her, I said, I'm kind of curious what they're eating. She says, okay, I'll take a peek when she brings the meal. Big old stack of hotcakes, guys. And then I think he had some hash browns on the side. And then he's sitting there pouring high fructose corn syrup. That's the crap that they have in these restaurants, right? They don't have like good maple syrup or maybe a little shot of honey, which are both bad. Both bad. And here I'm a beekeeper, right? No, we don't need to be eating a lot of honey, guys, and use that honey as a friggin' medicine. If you start getting cold or something, or a sore throat, if you picked up one of Joe's bugs, or maybe Hunter's bugs, and you're, yeah, you use that as a medicine. You don't sit and pour it all over hotcakes and toast and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, she said he's got a huge stack of hotcakes over there. You talk about a walking heart attack. This guy, what amazes me, guys, is how resilient and tough the human body actually is. God made us pretty tough. Let's be honest. He made some pretty tough creatures. Think about way back in the day, we're hunting woolly mammoths and beating down freaking saber-toothed tigers and stuff off of a meal that we need to eat. But can you imagine the poor people in the medical field having to deal with some of these walruses that come in? What do? You go to Harbor Freight and get you one of them car lifts, a motor lift, to get his fat ass off of the gurney, out of the ambulance, over here onto a table where you can work on them. And then if you got to carve into these guys, you got to fight your way through a whole mass of whale blubber to get down there to the goodie works. Unbelievable, guys. I'm sure a lot of these doctors that have to do major surgery on these guys, they say, we can't do nothing to you until you lose 900 pounds. Yeah. Unreal. So anyway, today, guys, I got to get a little busy. Mr. Martin. Boy, Mr. Martin just keeps on surprising me. I'll tell you, this fella here is getting to be one heck of a beekeeper now, I'm telling you. He did a 28 grafts, and he ended up with 26 cells that were big, old, fat peanuts. Now, I see a lot of these breeders. I know 2 of them close by me. I've never seen any fat cells come out of these things that they're raising. I asked him, too. I said, do you wet graft or dry graft? Both of them are dry grafting. Yeah, both of them dry graft. And I'm going, I'm a firm believer, guys, in this wet grafting. Especially with me, when I do a graft, and I don't plan on doing anything till probably end of May, June, when I get most of my walkaway action done. Yeah, because I use a German tool and I need to float that larva off of that spoon. Yeah. With a Chinese tool, you can do it with just dip out what little bit of royal jelly that's in there and transfer it to a cup and hit the plunger and it'll push it on off. But it's hard to do with a German tool, because unless you cantilever that larva, and cantilevering that larva is quite a trick. You need to pick it up on the back side of the sea regardless, but I guess some guys can do it if you got it cantilevering, because when you set it down, if the 2 ends of the C can touch the bottom of that cell, you can drag your tool on off and deposit it in the bottom of the cup, right? So anyway, yeah, he's done real, and he had extra, so he gave me 4. And this morning I went out there, and bingo, there they are. They had flipped around. They had chewed their way out, crawled back in. They're in my incubator, crawled back in, went on up, and all 4 of them had their face stuffed in that royal jelly that was still at the top of the cup. So That tells me Mr. Martin set that cell builder up. He said it was packed out. He packed it out, and then he's feeding it too, of course. You have to feed your cell builder. He said he had it crammed full of bees, and he added extra bees, and that's the secret to this grafting. You've got to cram that thing full of bees. And he did an excellent job because, man, there was a ton of royal jelly left in these cups. And when I left this morning, they were doing good. Now, I went and took them out and took my thumbnail, went right along the edge of the top edge of that cup and took my thumbnail and cut that wax loose. Those cells were really leathery. And I cut that loose and opened that up carefully, and that queen crawled out. And I just carefully picked her up and set her down in a California Mini. And she went down in there. I put my thumb over it, hold her in there. And then I took that same cell now and used as a plug. That's the beauty of those California Minis. You can take that cell cup and use it as a plug. And they're full of royal jelly still. And I just put that in as a plug. And then I put it back, and I made this little special frame up. You saw it last year. And then I've got some honey I keep warm in the incubator, and I took a little pick and I dipped it in there and put a drop of honey on each one, and immediately they come over and start sucking on that honey. So today I'm going in and make them up some nice fat. I'm going to take my new 5 framers, and I've got several hives that are just packed out. I'm going to rob resources. I'm going to rob at least 3 frames for each one of those nukes, and drop in 2 planes on the outside, right? Or I may fill it up with, resources and make some really fat, strong ones, nukes. I've got the material there. I've got resources there. And these bees are probably going to swarm if I don't get them in there anyway. So I will assemble that. I will assemble that just as soon as it warms up here. It's about 60 degrees right now here in sunny Florida. It's going to be a beautiful day. So by the time I get into those things, 10, 11 o'clock today, they'll be up 73 degrees or so today. And I'll set them up, and I'll put them in lockdown because I'm in the same yard. I'll put them in lockdown. I got some pallets I threw in the woods, and I'll set them on them. And I got to keep an eye on them too for the carpenter ants. I don't want these carpenter ants screwing with my new girls here. So I'll keep an eye on that. And I will introduce those new queens to that colony tomorrow. I'll let them sit and think about it for 24 hours. They don't have a queen in there. So I'm going to have to be diligent and look through these boxes when I'm stealing resource, make sure I don't bring out the new queen, the old queen, and put in there. We don't need to just transfer that and destroy a brand new queen. Martin bought he bought a nuke from Chris Warner last season. And Chris Warner's a big time breeder up here to my north. Martin took that thing home, and he says, Steve, it just exploded. This girl is putting brood top to bottom, side to side, with a little bit of rim of honey up top. He said she is just kicking ass. So he said, I'm breeding from this. He did. And to me they look Carnolian. And he said there's probably a mix of everything, because this guy is breeding for Bob Binney, and Bob Binney is just about going all now Caucasian. That's the black queens. And I've sold my 2 black queens this year already. They're gone. Actually, they're going to be gone. One to South Florida, all the way down to Homestead, and the other one is is in Michigan right now. Wolverine, Michigan. So, yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how these girls go. I've had good luck doing the direct release. I do use sugar water in a spritz bottle, and I let them sit for 24 hours, and then I come in, I spritz the entire colony, and then I grab my virgin and open the hatch and let her crawl out of the top bars. As soon as she crawls out, I just spritz her just a little bit, and she'll just crawl right down into the colony. And then I will come back in 3 weeks. I'll date that thing, come back in 3 weeks and see how she's doing. And if she failed, whatever, we will salvage all of that equipment. There'll be plenty of bees in there. I'll get that, salvage that equipment and put it into something else. So yeah, I'll be a busy little boy today. Thanks for stopping in to old Steve-O's remote base camp. And I got to get my 2-mile hike in, and then by the time I do all that, it'll be time to get back into these bees and get her done. So stay well, folks. Get on that carnivore diet. It's funny. A lot of people say to me, Steve-O, I don't know. It blows my mind. It's so funny that we have, as human beings, that we've had a lifestyle of carnivore for millions of years, and then all of a sudden, like around in the 30s, actually before that, because when the pioneers came in, and all they had was what? Oatmeal, rice, stuff like that, just garbage. And they had awful problems. My grandparents and great-grandparents, they all checked out early. Well, my great-grandmother didn't. On mom's side, tough. That was a tough woman, guys. Oh my God, that was a tough woman, and so sweet. That woman was so sweet. But she was the matriarch. She told them boys and stuff what's going on, what's happening. They did it. I bet she wielded a badass club if you didn't. But she was one sweet woman, and she ran that whole. She had her 11th child, and then he died. Great-grandfather died of that flu they had way back in the day. And she ran that farm her entire life. And the last three born stayed on it. They were born on a farm. They died on that farm. And they milked cows for 50. Them boys milked cows for 50 years. Yeah. Blanche was the baby, and then there was Freddie, and then there was Thurl, and those three stayed with Grandma to the dying end. They never, get this, guys, they never went on a vacation. Never. You can't. You got a dairy farm. That's all they knew. Okay. They farmed. They made hay. They made crops. They milked cows. 365 days a year for over 50 years, and never took a vacation. You talk about devotion. But they were happy. They were always smiling. They were always happy. And they were great people. Great people. Yeah. It's a small world. It's a small world. I hope I can meet Jesse. Jesse, believe it or not, grew up with my great aunt uncles. Aunt and uncle. He grew up with them. Yeah, he's what is he? 90-some. He's 90-something. I told Martin, see if we can get a thing set up. He travels back and forth still. He drives still back and forth. It's unbelievable. To Farwell, Michigan. Yeah. That's where the farm was, Farwell. Anyway, he drives back and forth every year. He said he's slowing down. It's about the end of it, driving back and forth. I would think he'd sell out whatever he's got up there and just come down and stay here in Florida. I would think. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, he grew up with that whole family. He knows the whole clan. We were just sitting there casually talking, Martin and I. And he said, I got a friend here that's, I mentioned Farwell. He said, Farwell, really? Jesse over here is from Farwell. I said, ask him if he knows where the old stone house is. Everybody in that whole area knows where the old stone house is. Them boys back in the day, my great-grandfather went out there. They cleared, the government gave them that homestead, right, 100 acres. They went out there with oxen. They cleaned that forest out to make, harvested the trees. They brought in a steam-powered sawmill, made the lumber, all right? They took all the stones. Those stones, guys, those field stones were from here to here. Okay, big. They had made stone boats and walked down through there with, as they're plowing with oxen. They're plowing up these stones and they're throwing them in the stone boat. And they bring them back. They build a 2-story house, and I don't know how many squares there's in this house, guys, but it's big. The entire house, outside walls instead of concrete blocks, is stone. And the friggin' walls are probably this thick. All of the barn, which is Uganda's dairy barn, hayloft, right? Timber frame. Timbers in this thing, guys, were like so. I mean, I walked into that barn and started looking, because I really enjoy carpentry and, looking at stuff like that. And the craftsmanship in that thing is unreal. And that thing, the original barn, burnt down. And my grandfather, all right, married my mother's mother. He rebuilt it. He brought a team of carpenters in, and that's how he met Grandma. And he rebuilt that friggin' barn. It is huge. And they did it all with oxen. And they made wooden pegs and put that thing together, wooden pegs. That thing could take anything. But they set that barn, that monstrous barn, it's just nothing but dead weight on top of a stone foundation. And there was a big ramp going up this thing that they could back a tractor in, right? Up and offload the hay, and a huge hay loft up above that thing. Below the barn floor was the milking parlor. It was I don't know, there was 8 foot or 9 foot of headroom under that thing. Yeah, unreal. Yeah, so anyway, they sold that. When Blanche, she was the last one there, she ended up passing away. She was way up in their 80s. And Freddie and Thurl, they asked, what did great-grandma die of? And the doctor said, she was just told my mother, she was just wore out. That woman, she worked so hard. That whole north side of the old stone house was a garden area. She grew a year's worth of food, vegetables in that garden every year, and below in that basement was just crammed full of canned goods that she put up. And she'd have all those kids, she'd give them little jars. She'd say, there was no insecticide out there in the garden. She'd go out there, and don't you come back, none of you kids come back here with that bunch of bugs in that jar. And little kids, there goes, really sharp-eyed, you can see every little bug. She said, I want them jars full of bugs when you come back here. And they'd go up, my mother, she'd go up there, summer vacation, whatever, and she'd stay on the farm. A bunch of kids would be there, all the kids. And she said she just absolutely, my mother was always kind of squeamish anyway. She said, I absolutely hated that. I hated that, but Grandma made us do it, so I had to do it, she said. I said, she told me the story. I said, I bet you didn't collect that many bugs, did you, Mom? Not as many. No, not very many. I think I borrowed some from some of the other kids, so I wouldn't look so bad or something, but it was funny. But yeah, Jesse grew up with, I said, man, what a small world. Absolutely small world. Unbelievable. So hopefully I get to meet Jesse. I haven't met him yet. Martin said he's pretty sharp old boy. Pretty sharp guy. All right, guys, I'll quit talking to you. Thanks for coming by for coffee this morning. It's been a good little chat. Old Steve-O's got to get the bee suit on. I got to open this truck up, man. It's getting warm in here. My windows are steaming up. And I'll get into that, and then I'll take you along tomorrow. Hope all goes well, and we'll you can come along with me tomorrow, and we'll introduce those queens. We'll do a direct release. Yeah, we'll do a direct release. I run 80% usually success story on that. We'll wait for it to warm up. It's going to be a morning. Tomorrow's going to be like today. And actually, I don't see any rain in the forecast for a whole week. So, okay, guys. See you soon. Stay happy, stay strong. We got to keep getting it on. See you soon.